I only have eyes or ears or hands for you. Hello, I'm Alex Ryan, and during this presentation I'm going to be taking you through some slides and outlining the communication strategies you need to be able to connect with your partner. That is, take the effort out of loving your partner and getting your partner to love you. So, how do we connect with our partner? How do we do that subconsciously so that our partner doesn't even know that we're connecting with them, doing it without effort and without struggle? Well, I'm going to be showing you over the next few slides how to do that, how to connect so quickly that you'll be surprised at how effective the strategies are. A personal communication breakthrough for me. I remember when I was 19 years of age and I was studying psychology. During that time I was working casually for my brother's ice cream business, driving around. It was a Mr. Whippy van as such, the sort you see on the street serving soft serve. I was working on the weekends, mainly Sundays and sometimes Saturdays, and trade was okay when I first started out, until I found the secret to communicating effectively with absolutely anybody. Once I found out this secret, I started applying it to all customers, and guess what? My turnover went up about 50% within a few weeks. My brother was absolutely amazed, and curiosity, of course, got the better of him. He asked me, "How did you do it?" I simply said, "Mate, it's got to do with the words you use with your customers. It's all about how you connect, and it's all subconscious." So I'm going to be showing you how you're going to do that with your partner, how you're going to connect. I'm not treating your partner like a customer, but at the same time, the communication strategies are absolutely exactly the same. What do you communicate with? Do you communicate with your mouth, that is the words that you use, or your intonation? Do you communicate with your brain? Is it the information and responses coming directly from the brain, something that you really only have control on a physiological level? Or do you communicate with your mind? In other words, your thoughts and emotions, as all the words that come out of your mind are filled with emotions and feelings. Well, the answer to that is that the mind is the one doing the communicating. That's right. From day one, of course, you were trained. You were trained by your parents, by your environment, you were trained by your teachers and everyone else involved, including your siblings. Now, what I mean by that is that we were trained to be a specific type of communicator, and actually there are three types of communicators. The first type of communicator is a visual communicator, and I'm going to be going in a moment into what a visual communicator does. The second type of communicator is an auditory communicator, and I'm going to be going into detail a bit later about what an auditory communicator does. And there's also a kinesthetic communicator, a communicator by feel. And of course, later on I'll be going into that one as well. So let's kick off and talk about visual people, the first type of communicator. Like I said, from the day you were born, you were trained, you were stimulated into using one of your senses more when you talk. In regards to visual people, this constitutes about 70% of the population. These are the people that want to see you when they're talking, and they use expressions or believe that seeing is believing. That's their attitude about information. They love you when you show it. That is, you have to show that you love them. You've got to do it physically so they can visually see it through their eyes. And these are the types of people that say, "Looks good to me, I see what you mean, and show me how it works." So, the thing about visual communicators is that they do everything, process everything through their eyes. Information is stored into the eyes and the brain. These are the types of people that want fast results, and they want it now. So the question is, what strategies do you use if the partner that you're going out with is a visual person? So they're the type of person that store information in their brain through their eyes, and their mind takes that up and then expresses life, the way they speak, in a visual orientated manner. So these are the strategies that you're going to use if you're with a visual partner. To begin with, you're going to use expressions which are based on visual words. So you'll say things like, "I see what you mean," when you're trying to build a rapport with them. You'll say, "It looks good to me." And you also say to them, "Come over here, I'll show you how to do this." So you're using words like show, which is a visual orientated word. And when you talk, you have to look at them. In other words, you face off in front of them. You don't stand side by side. This is very important for a visual person. They'll feel like you're engaging with them and you're interested and you're gaining their attention. Now, if you want to show love to a visual person, you have to show it by giving gifts and things like that. You have to show physically and visually what it all means. Otherwise, they won't feel like you love them. And of course, be around a lot so they see you. I remember one client asked me as to why his partner complained that he wasn't around enough, and I said she's a visual orientated person, so therefore you just have to be around so she can see you, and then she feels like you're in the relationship and you're connecting. He understood that and started to apply that, hung around home a bit more, and of course she stopped complaining about him not being around enough. Let's go to the second type of communicator, which is the audio person. This constitutes about 25% of the population. So an audio person is a minor subgroup of different types of communicators. The audio person wants to hear you speak. They're very interested in what you say and how you say it, in other words, your intonation. And of course, the audio person will believe it when they hear it. They're not a person that needs to see it to believe it, they need to hear it. So they like to hear conversation from other people to get confirmation. In this sense, social proof is very important. Audio social proof. They need to hear it from other people. So if they want to know if a restaurant's really good, they'll get a report from a friend, for example, to get confirmation rather than reading about or seeing it somewhere. If you've got an audio partner, it's better to use words like, it sounds good to me and I hear what you're saying. You must use the words like sound and hear to convey that you really understand, as a way of building rapport with them, instant rapport as such. And of course, you have to say nice things to audio partners. The way you say things is very important. Your communication, of course, breaks down into the words that you say, the specific words that you're using, the intonation, which breaks further down into the speed of your speech, your pitch, and also your volume. So when you're talking with an audio person, it's better to be on a medium to low volume level, using a moderate level of pitch, and not speaking too fast. They enjoy it much more when you speak in this manner. If you're speaking too fast and too loud, they won't like you. You will instantly lose them. The connection will be lost. So strategies with an audio partner. If your partner's audio, that means they're an ear-orientated person. You need to use, of course, the word sounds and hear as expressions. Watch your intonation, using soft and slow language, and talk to them regularly. This is very important. If you're talking to them regularly, and particularly if you've got a female partner, you need to break things down into details. They love that stuff. If you're not willing to do that, they're going to constantly complain that you're not doing enough, you're not communicating enough with them. And of course, tell them how much you love them. That's very important. Words of affirmation play a major role for this type of communicator. The third type of communicator is a kinesthetic person. This constitutes only 5% of the population. This type of person, of course, is in the minority. So if you have a partner who's in 5%, or if you're a kinesthetic person, you fall in the minor group of people, you'll find it very difficult to connect with people naturally, because most people are visual and then to a lesser extent audio. And if you're a kinesthetic person, or your partner is, you're going to feel like you don't fit in, or your partner doesn't fit into groups. This is the type of person, they love to taste and smell. They love the extra senses other than the eyes and the ears. They tend to gravitate towards tasting and smelling. Of course, if you're a kinesthetic, or your partner's a kinesthetic person, if it makes me feel good, it is good. That's the sort of language that they're using. They base all of their perception and their interpretations and evaluations on the way they feel, rather than what they see and hear. The thing about a kinesthetic person is they tend to stand too close to people and they get very emotional. So they're interpreted as very intense people. In fact, they're not. They're just different types of communicators, and they tend to breach on people's personal boundaries. So they don't tend to connect with people very easily because they break personal boundary problems. These are the types of people, of course, that say, I know what you mean, or I felt awful. So there's a lot of emotional intensity that they bring to the conversations they have with you. And of course, they love to touch when they speak to you, particularly if you want to mean it, or if they want to mean it, they'll touch you and they'll speak. This shows that they're trying to connect. So what strategies do you use with a field partner? If you've got a partner who's a kinesthetic person, the most important thing here is to stand very close to them or touch them when you're talking. This shows that you really mean your conversations and it will really get through to them. They'll understand, they'll pick up on the feel of the conversation and they'll really pick up all the information you want to convey. Also, being emotional when you're talking as well. Put some emotion into it. In other words, vary the intonation of your voice, the speed and the pitch. This variation in energy will show them that you actually mean it and you're connecting with them. Also, watch your intonation, of course. Just like the audio person, it's even more important with a kinesthetic person that you use a very soft intonation. The reason being is that a soft intonation is like vibration. A kinesthetic person bases a lot of the experience on vibration. So there's a very high association with audio people. Kinesthetic people tend to use their audio channels as well. Audio, of course, being vibration as well. So the key thing here is that if you use soft language, it connects with them because they feel like you're not confronting them too much with what you're saying. Also, watch your body language. Body language is very important. They'll pick up on your body language. You've got your arms crossed, they'll pick that up straight away. These are the non-verbal cues that a kinesthetic person is more attuned to. Okay, the number one reason why your communication is lousy is a very good reason why your communication is lousy and you're not doing very well with your partner in regards to communication. The problem is that you talk to your partner on your sense bias. So if you're a visual person, that means you like to talk in the seeing and look over here type language, and your partner is an audio partner, you have a miscorrelation in the language that you're using. You won't correlate with them, you will mismatch, they won't connect with you. You're speaking the wrong language, in other words, for them. And of course your partner will feel like you're not talking on the same level with them. There will be a problem, it will be subconscious, but they will pick up the mismatch and they'll begin to either mistrust what you're saying or they just won't connect with you. They won't feel right in that conversation. So, moving forward, the important things for you guys to pick up as you're going away from this presentation is firstly, ask yourself, am I a visual person? Am I an audio person? Am I a feel person, kinesthetic person? You have to firstly identify what your sense bias is. How have you been storing and using information, in other words, in your brain and your mind? So, as you're doing that, you will work this out by studying a few things. The most important thing to study is the word selection that you use. If you're a person who's a visual person, you'll say, I see what you mean, looks good to me. If you're an audio person, you'll say, it sounds good to me, I hear what you're saying. And if you're a kinesthetic person, you'll feel like you don't fit in a lot with other people, you'll stand too close and you'll be a very emotional person. The thing about kinesthetic people is that when you're affected emotionally by an event, you get an upset, it takes you longer to get over as well. Then what you do is you work out what your partner's mind is. This is very important as well. Once you identify yours, it's important to work out your partner's sense bias. Once you're able to pick up their sense bias, then what you have to do is you have to start using their sense bias when you talk, not yours. That way they'll feel like you're connecting with them. If you choose not to, you're going to always feel dissatisfied in your relationships, and your partner will always feel dissatisfied when they're talking to you, and they'll always feel that you're not really connecting and understanding them fully. I promise you, if you do this, you identify your sense bias and you identify your partners and start using the words towards them, and they start using the words that connect with you, you will get an instant connection. You will feel more in touch with your partner and vice versa. You will begin to understand. The other thing is you'll become a more flexible communicator. So you'll be able to communicate with a wide variety of people just by the words that you select and use according to the person that you're talking to, the type of communicator.